What's good, YouTube? It's Zion, and yes, I cut my locks after about 5-6 years of hair growth and about 5 years of a lock journey. I've cut my locks, and I'm gonna get into it why I did that. And I'm not gonna advise anybody to cut their locks, but I know it's basically been a great debate on the internet, like, oh, cut your hair and this, that, and the third. But it's a multitude of reasons. It's a multitude of reasons why people cut their locks. You know what I'm saying? It's a multitude of reasons why people start their locks. You know, some things become trends, and that's why the lock journey doesn't work for some people. And yeah, you feel me? And now it's like a big thing, so it's like everybody got locks now. But I'm gonna get into why I cut my locks. And I'm gonna get into just my journey of locks. So the first time, I'm gonna get into the whole hair journey, right? When I was younger, this would basically be the cut that I was pretty much forced to get. My hair would pretty much grow over the year, then the next year be the same thing. Till I was probably like about maybe middle school and really started growing it out. But then 9th grade came, cut it again, and since then, now is when the big transition happened. So 9th grade, I had the skin, and mind you, I got some surgery, so like I had a big ass cyst on my head too. It wasn't as big back then, like it was barely noticeable. I think that shit grew over the years. So boom, right? Grew it out that year, and then the next year came, and I basically, like, my mom, she wanted to start some locks on my head, and I'm just like, yeah, boom, boom. The whole time, I just wasn't feeling it, you feel me? So I ended up taking them shits out, and then I ended up dyeing my hair like twice. First I dyed it blue, right? Then I dyed it red, and then, wait, did I don't know. I'm trying to think. Yeah, facts. And then that shit like faded to like a whole nother color, boom. Then I got locks again, right? If I could put some pictures up, I'm gonna try and show y'all. Then I got locks again in 11th grade. No, I'm cap. It was like technically 12th grade, but that was like when the COVID shit happened. So I had some fire ass locks. I got rid of those because I got them shits done by a shorty that I used to talk to in high school, and I'm just like, we not together, and it just wouldn't really make sense for me to have my locks started by somebody who I don't really mess with, type shit. So I cut my hair again, and I was 18, because I was like, I'm 18, finally an adult, and I'm gonna cut my locks. So boom, cut my locks, cut my hair, grew it out again, but this time the process of me getting them back was official this time. So boom, went to my hairstylist and started them shits, and it was December of 2021, because I had like a little afro. And I was like, I don't know, something was in me. Like I was just coming to like a lot of self-knowledge and learning who I was. So I had cut my locks. Started my locks in December of 2021. So boom, been growing them shit since then, and I was like smoking heavy at the time, because I feel like that there's a correlation. There's a correlation between like smoking and having locks. So then I had dyed like one tiny part, and I was like going through, I was grinding like really hard that year. But 2022 was a great transition period with me and my friends, and getting more into this knowledge itself. So I had dyed like a little bit of it like the Rastafarian colors, and then I just pretty much grew it out from there. And it was just a long journey, of self-discovery and embracing who I was and learning who I was. 2024, 2025, and Then it got to a point to where like my spirit was telling me like it might be time to cut them. They was like right here. My spirit was like it might be time to cut them, because over these years, you know, a lot of things happen and you grow and grow apart from things and detach. This was one of the big things, right? My stylist, I had went to go see my stylist one time, right? And this was the last time I ever went to her. I had went to go see her. She did my locks, boom, 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 right? And at the time, I wasn't driving. You know, at the time, I didn't have a car anymore. So, you know, I always tip when I do my what's it called? You know, when I, you know, get a haircut or, you know. So, it was like, she had left, right? And, like, she seen me. And, like, when she was driving away, like, she looked the other way on some shit. So I was like, damn, like, you feel me? It's like, I would have paid you, you know, instead of, like, calling an Uber or whatever. But I'm like, all right, you know, that was just fake to me. So I ain't never, ever get my locks done by her again. And it's, like, no shade to her or nothing or whatever. But, yeah. So it was, like, a whole year I didn't get my locks done by her. And then I finally got them done by someone else. And that was nothing. I'm like, okay, if I was to ever get locks again in my life, which I might, you know, I'd probably want to do them myself. And then another thing was, this is the next aspect of it. It's like, okay, boom. It hasn't been a long period of my time to where I really, like, embrace my natural hair. You know, because I used to basically get forced, like, you know, get forced to get the Caesar. And, you know, plus I had to get that surgery, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I actually want to grow like a big ass afro this time. That's what I want to do, because my hair grows pretty fast. So I want to get an afro this time. But I want to get more so into specific reasons and a few analogies of why I cut my hair. And it's like, boom. Hair is really sacred, right? Like one time I had ran into a friend. I was working at the school. And I don't know how, but I had like ran into a friend that I knew from like 5th grade to 8th grade and then 9th grade. Because the school I went to was like from elementary, middle to high school. I didn't go to that school to middle school, and he left our 9th grade year. So, or at the end of our 9th grade year. So I had ran into him, and he got like some long ass locks, right? And this like not nobody I know, you know, because I do have a friend that also has locks that y'all probably do know, but this is not that friend. This is some friend I knew like longer than that type shit. So I had accidentally like touched his locks one time, because it was like, I don't know, it's like a bug or some shit on it. And like he got real offended. And it was like, I didn't even like mean to. I don't know. It was like something subconsciously on some shit to where I was like, damn, like my fault. Boom, boom. He was like, yeah, you good, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, all right, I feel that, because, you know, I feel the same way, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, my other friends, you know, I let, like, touch my hair. You feel me? Because, like, we cool. We knew each other for a long time. So, to me, that was, like, my fault. But at the same time, like, you know, I wouldn't care if you touched my hair, because, you know, we knew each other from 5th grade to now. But, you know, our journeys just didn't align anyway. So, we haven't really been, you know, communing. But, then it was, like, one time I had, I'm gonna get real, like, X-rated real quick. I had, like, slept with this girl, right? And she was, like, she had touched my hair after. And, you know, when she went home, and this ain't even the first time this happened. I won't even say this girl. A multitude of different women that I've dealt with, like, 2023, and just over the years who like, touched my hair. And I started to think to myself, if I don't want these women touching my hair, why am I comfortable having sex with them? You know, so it was like, okay, I shouldn't be doing that with them. You know, if I don't want them touching my hair, I shouldn't be sticking my penis inside of their vagina. So I was like, you know what? Boom. And then all that energy, you feel me? But it was a multitude of energy. I'm like, all these years of smoking, like, that's like the energy in the locks and all trials and tribulations, like all that was like weighed into them, you know. And since I've cut my locks, I feel way freer. Like all of my past transgressions, and it's like that person who I was is dead and dying to birth a new person. It's like now I'm not really like smoking as much weed anymore. You feel me? I'm like, okay, been smoking since probably like 16, and I'm 23 now. So you feel me? What's the point? What am I really gaining from that as much? I'm like, yeah, on occasion, you know what I'm saying, but not as much as I used to. So yeah, and now I'm 23. Like I said, I want to grow my natural hair, and just this journey, you know, of adulthood. Because like at 18, I thought I was an adult, you know, and then now it's like now I'm more appreciative for a lot more things than I was then, and my mindset is more aligned. And then it's like also I separated myself from a lot of people and things, you know, like I don't really be popping out no more. Not that I ever was, but you know, from time to time, you know, I never, you know, that'd be more like an entertainment aspect to where like I'm popping out to like see some artists perform, or you know, go out, or whatever the case may be. I'm not really like a bar type of person, or you know, club scene type of person. So what was I finna say? Yeah, so and this time I'm like, okay, I'm bold enough to like post on TikTok, and not only that, but post on YouTube. But at the same time, I was like, yo, when I cut my hair, I'm about to go. It's like nobody about to see me. But at the same time, I don't really give a fuck. I don't really give a fuck. It's like the way I look at life and just the people is like, they just people. It don't really matter. And one person that I knew from high school had did a post like, he was like, oh nah, I had posted on Snap that I cut my hair, and there's like one person on high school that I knew from like high school I used to run track with. I see him on occasion because he'd be kicking in one of my mans, but I'm like, when's the last time, you know, you kicked it with me type shit? Because I'm looking at it like, okay, he was like, oh, you cut your hair, like surprised on some shit. I was like, nah, I know you didn't cut your hair. Not like trying to diss me or nothing, but just he said that type shit, and I'm just looking at it like, the fact that you think I give a fuck about your opinion, when it's like we don't even really kick it like that for me to like actually give a fuck. You know, it's like, nigga, you know how much like trials and tribulations that I've gone through to where like a motherfucker won't check up on you in these trials and tribulations, but a motherfucker will be worried about your haircut. And on top of that, that's a little zesty. Like, we grown ass men, and this is something I've been trying to make apparent, and I've kind of did in terms of just like my friend group. I used to say this back in the day, which was only like 5 years ago, because you know that's when we was closer, because high school or whatever. And I'd be like, yo, we need to hang with like more females, platonically, you know. And personally, over the years, that's what I've been doing, because I've been balancing my divine masculine and my divine feminine natures. So I've been able to make these platonic female friendships, and yeah. But where was I going with that? I low-key forgot where I was going with that. But you know, that in itself is just a whole thing. Oh yeah. So it's like I really don't give a fuck what no man says, because I don't even want any more male friends in my life. You know, I'm cool with the ones that I got, and you know, because that takes a long bond to actually build. You know what I'm saying? But you know, everybody, you know, got their own things going on to where like, end of the day, we all gonna probably start our own families at some point anyway. So it's what it is, type shit. And other than that, it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be worried about what another man is doing, you know, or thinking about what another man is doing. It's like, I'd rather be doing that about a female type shit. So yeah, and that's just the kind of energy that I'm like trying to surround myself with. But at the same time, you know, that comes with things too, and which is why I kind of had to distance myself from everybody, because it was like, even when it was platonic with a lot of my female friends, sometimes that shit would get romantic and, you know, go a little bit further than it probably should have. And other times it'll just be like, I don't really want to hear about just your problems, you know, because it's like a person will tell you their problems but never asks about you and yours, you know. And this goes back to like what I was saying about the friend. It's like also at the good peak times that you having in your life, you know. It's like, you know, because sometimes people will come into your life when you going through some negative shit, and you be like, damn, why this person always hit me up? You know, I'm going through some shit and they checking on me. But it's like when you going through some positive shit, motherfuckers don't be checking on you or wondering what you doing type shit. So I'm like, all right, let me get away from all of that. Let me get away from all of that, because y'all got to keep in mind, you know, growing up, you know, when my dad got back into my life and my other sister was born, there's like my dad, me, my mom, and 2 little sisters. So I feel like my understanding, and a little bit of overstanding of women is kind of just different, you know, but at the same time, you know, everybody's a little different, you feel me? But I think I have a good understanding and a little bit of an understanding, especially as I acknowledge the divine masculine and feminine in myself, you know, because end of the day, everybody comes from a man and a woman. So as far as I'm concerned, that's God. And that's, you know, not as far as it goes, but to the extent to where you want to acknowledge that, you should just look at, you know, how you came to be. And if that relationship isn't good, or what you think it should be, then I don't know, I look at it different, because it's like, maybe that has to do with some like past life shit. Because I don't think that people are experiencing tribulations just randomly. I think that a lot of people may have cultivated that from something that they've done, you know. And I look at that the same with me personally, in my trials and my tribulations and things of that nature, and traumas and all that, etc. So I'm like, okay, maybe this has to do some shit, you know. But that's because I have a deep understanding and connection to like who I am and, you know, the God that I am. You know, whether people want to acknowledge that or not, you know, and that's where the great separation comes into play. It's like I also had to humble myself too when I cut my hair. I'm okay, you know, all the baddies is hitting me up like boom boom, but I'm like, okay, I know I'm handsome regardless, but is you still gonna be, you know, messing with me without the hair type shit, you know? Not that I even want to even deal with any of that. You know, that's kind of more of a reason to like get away from that. You feel me? Because you're probably not gonna get as much with hair versus without. But I don't know, my whole life I've been, you know, just been a handsome man. So, you know, since a little boy. So it's gonna be that regardless. But, you know, that boosts your rating type shit. You feel me? I'm probably like I ain't even gonna do that. I ain't even gonna do that. This is not 2K. But yeah, it's just a real interpersonal journey, and everybody's journeys is different, you know. But you peep a lot of people who've been cutting their hair because they know they may have not been the perfect person. And honestly, it's like when you do get that hair, it's like, who the fuck is you? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I got more hair than, not to like bash anybody or, you know, even sound zesty, but like a lot more hair than a lot of men and women, you know? You know what I'm saying? Not to like, you know, go that far or even look at it that way, but it's like, you know, you kind of get full of yourself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me humble myself and see if I could be who I am and be greater than that without my hair type shit. So, especially since I got the surgery too, I'm like, okay, it's about time I just embrace my natural hair without locking it, without dyeing it, just boom, boom, boom. You feel me? And yeah, you know, yeah, that's about it. For the subscribers, like, shout out to the subscribers, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the people. You could share this, like this video, repost, do all of those things. You know, I'm definitely in the mode to making more content. but at the same time, as my hair grows, so do I, in a way. So, yeah, that's basically why I cut my hair, and I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all understand, and if maybe you need the motivation to maybe start your locks or cut your locks, then hopefully this will do it, because there's a multitude of reasons to even start locks, and there's a multitude of reasons to cut your locks. And I think I named some good reasons, why to cut them, but I don't think I've named any good reasons to start them. Well, actually I did in the beginning, because, I was learning who I was, and especially as a melanated person, it's like that's a part of our culture. So let's connect to that, because my locks was antennas, and that's why my locks was telling me like, yo, it's time to let go, like we're long, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we've been tainted by all of the energies that you may have let touch us, or all of the smoking and just certain thoughts like that stays in there, because your hair is your ether, and it's an extension of you. It's like an extension cord. So I wanted to let that go, and since then things have been pretty good. Honestly, it's like, okay, I don't really be, like I said, I don't really be smoking like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Or really not so much lustful, which I think is part of that, because of course you want to, like, lay down with women, even if it's not in a relationship aspect. But at the same time, now I'm just like, you know what, y'all got it. I don't run to spill the beans too much, but it was like this bad shorty who hit me up. This was like right before I cut my locks too. It was this bad shorty who hit me up, and y'all definitely know if you from Rochester, but I ain't gonna say who, because it's a lot of beautiful women out here, so I'm not gonna say who. But she like hit me up, and it was like my spirit was like not jacking it. Like I don't know, because she's gorgeous, but my spirit was just like, nah, because it was like low-key out of nowhere. I had did a post, right? I had posted something. It was like, it was a couple, and I think it was either the man or the woman. They was like laying on each other's lap, and they was eating cereal out of each other's mouths. And I was like, I had posted, oh, if you're not trying to get like this, don't text me type shit. And then I seen somebody heard the story. I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? What's up with it? Let's text platonically type shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, if we could build as friends, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know, but like, I don't know. It just came so left field to where I was like, I don't know. Like, it just wasn't sitting right with my spirit. And then, I kind of like expressed that. And then this is another thing about accountability. It's like I expressed this first, that I wasn't really like, fully with it, because of what I had going on at the time, what I was just dealing with in my own personal life. And then like she hit me up after, like, basically, bro, it's like kind of like trying to take my idea and kind of like making it seem like it was like kind of trying to take control and act like she was the one who was like, this ain't really right for me, and saying, it's impulsive and all, etc. And I'm like, you know what, it's cool, I understand. And the whole time, like, she ain't even know I know who she been with type shit. So I'm like, you got it. You got it. You got it. You know what I'm saying? The next thing you know, I cut my locks. So I'm like, that was my last test. I ain't even gonna hold you. That was my last test of like lust, and to see if I was gonna fold and compromise my morals. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, even though I'm not cool with the person she's like with or whatever, I know that person enough to where it's like, if I do this, I'm overstepping boundaries, and I know that. So that was the test. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got it. But she may have not been aware of the relationship that I had with that person, to where I know that. You feel me? And that's it's just an Aquarius mindset, bro. Like, we know way much more than y'all you'll be surprised. Cause like when I send that text, I could feel through the phone, bro. I'm like, I know she like is so surprised, like, oh word. So I'm like, you got it. I ain't even like say too much. I just read some of it and I was like, I understand. You got it. That was my last test. Next thing you know, I cut my locks, and it's been up since there, because I don't want to be, moving lustfully. I want some real actual love. You know what I'm saying? I'm 23 now. I done had my fun. I done, you know what I'm saying, been in some good relationships. I say okay relationships. I don't think I've ever really been in like a good relationship. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know. My age group, especially like in that 2020 time, because in that 2020 time, it was like people was just lust all over this place. So that's just what it was. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just be messing with these shorties. We ain't really dating. Boom, boom, boom. And it's like, okay, you got to think about the shorties she probably been with before you. I mean, the men she probably been with before you, and all those etc. To where it's like, how serious is we gonna get, or how serious? Because this is another thing about like relationships and females. Like a female will dead ass. I hope that word isn't like offending y'all, but at the same time, some of y'all females do not be acting like women, and some of y'all, be acting like B words. But I'm not gonna say that. But some of y'all will like try to play a man in terms of like, I don't know, like that's what I'm saying, and it kind of correlates to like the shorty. It's like, trying to act like they want a relationship, and it's like all they want is some dick type shit. And it's like, okay, cool, but it's like, why don't you just say that, type shit. That's how I'm looking at it. Like, just say that, like, so I can know, so I don't, get too invested emotionally in whatever we may be growing, But everything now, I'm gonna just keep it platonic. And if it's time, it's time. But I know this, it's like, if I already know you or know of you and vice versa, and it was meant to be, then it would be aligned to where like we would have been communicating and been speaking, versus however long it's been to where like you hit me up, or vice versa, which is why I don't be like hitting people up, cause like it don't even align type shit. But yeah, that's why I cut my locks, and I hope that little extra like story, I hope y'all enjoyed that a little bit. I ain't really spilling tea. I'm just a little like, which is why I included it, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't like when people try to do that, like try and like basically take your idea and make it seem like it was their idea. When it's like, no, I expressed myself before you did, and you trying to act like you felt that way before I did. It's like, all right. But yeah, if you feel like getting locks, and you feel like you have a good knowledge of self, and you understand the locks journey and understand your hair, then go ahead and do that. If you need to cut your locks, I hope this is the video that like maybe motivates you to do what you gotta do and actually handle that. But yeah, excuse me. Subscribe, share, repost, comment, and yeah, peace out. I love y'all.